Hello, loves. So, I wanted to talk to you today about our need to react to everything that happens to us. We get in the most trouble when we decide that as soon as we hear something, we're going to react to it. We're going to match energies. Or we're going to stand up for ourselves, but in a way that it's negatively done or disrespectful or distasteful. It's okay to stand up for yourself. It's actually encouraged. But where we drop the ball at is because we're too busy trying to be, well, you're not going to tell me this or you're not going to say that to me. We're trying to be so tough that sometimes we lose the message in what we're experiencing. I'm going to give you an example. A person can come to you and give you brutal honesty. I mean, it's so disrespectful in the way that they say it to you. It's the tone, it's the words, it's all of that stuff that we are so taken back and we're so offended that here we come firing off shots back at them. And because we did that, because we didn't take a step back, because we didn't say, hey, I'm trying to listen to what you're saying, but I don't like your tone, and I don't like the way you're speaking to me. Instead, we just fired back off. We matched their energy. But guess what was still sitting in the midst of all of that stuff? The truth. But we can't hear the truth because we don't like the way it's delivered. We don't like how you gave it to us. So now I'm not even going to listen to the fact that everything you just said was true. But because of how you gave it to me, I'm just going to dismiss it. That's not how we grow. Real growth is being in an uncomfortable situation and hearing a truth, identifying it when you hear it, and saying, you know what? You're actually right. I do display that behavior, or I did say that, or I did do that. So for that part, I apologize. But for the next time that you want to present truth to me, if you want me to listen, and if you want me to take away that truth and do something with it, then I need for you to talk to me in a way that's respectful. That's how you grow. We don't grow by you attack me, I attack you, and we just keep attacking each other. We're not growing. And maybe you feel good if you defeat that person when you attack them. You still didn't learn anything. You still didn't grow. And if that's your purpose, now if you're just a person who likes to argue and you like toxicity and you like all of that stuff, then, whatever, I'm not talking to you. But if you're a person who is going through life trying to elevate, trying to grow, trying to attract the very people that bring peace and understanding and love into your life, you're going to have to start doing the work on you. You're going to have to start doing the work on how you speak to people, how you receive what people say to you. You're going to have to quiet yourself when you're in a situation that would normally rile you up. Sit in silence. Just take your time before you react. Because growth, it's so hard to do when you're angry. Growth is so hard to do when all you want to do is hurt the person that hurt you. actually, when you do stuff like that, you take yourself further back than where you already are. So, I really want us, and when I say, I mean all of us, myself included, because everything, and I'll say this throughout different videos, everything that I'm telling you, I'm also talking to myself. Because I am not without flaws, without fault, without lack of accountability. All of that applies. But just like those of you who are listening who can relate, who this is resonating with, we all have our flaws. We all have our shortcomings. But when we are trying to elevate and we're trying to move past all of this toxicity that we are subjected to, maybe even projecting out, when you're trying to get past all of that, you have to effectively do the work on yourself in order to do it. So when those tests come, when a person comes to you and they're disrespectful, you can choose, I'm going to walk away right now because I don't like where this is going. And if I say something, this is going to escalate to something bigger. Or you hear them out. You thank them for the truth, not how they delivered it, not the disrespectful tone or any of that, but just for the truth that you heard while they were being all rah-rah in your face, and you walk away. What I have learned to do for some years now, actually, is when somebody's being disrespectful to me, I first stop them because I don't like disrespect. I don't like it. I don't like when a person is talking to me crazy or just using words that, belittling or condescending. I don't like any of that. So I had to learn those moments that I have done it. Those moments that I have said something to somebody that hurt their feelings, or maybe they didn't like how I worded something. So first, when an interaction comes that I don't like, I first try to identify, have I done that before? Because a lot of us don't do that. I don't like how they said that. That was really messed up. But take a second. Think of a time that you did the same thing to somebody else. And if you say, well, I don't do that to people. There's somebody in your life that will turn around and say, yeah, you did that to me, Thursday, or, remember that time? Somebody has a story of something that you think you don't do. So this is the place that we have to get to in order to grow. We have to first think of when we did the same thing. Think of when somebody is talking to us, what are they saying? Take all the other stuff out, ignore all of that. What are you saying to me? What do you feel like I'm doing? What did you feel like I've done? And when you hear the truth, you have to accept it. Sometimes we like that somebody comes at us in a negative way, so we don't have to deal with the truth. You know that saying, don't hate the messenger? That's true. It's a true saying. Because no matter who's giving you the truth is still the truth. And when you're willing to listen to the truth and apply it into your life so that you can grow, you're going to elevate a lot faster. And you're not going to have to go through so many negative experiences that you may tend to go through now, because you're learning, because you're growing, because you're elevating. And that's the key thing, is you want to learn and you want to elevate and you want to grow so that you don't have to keep going through these things. You don't have to keep repeating cycles that you want to be done and over with. How many times have you went through something and you're like, Jesus, I thought I already went through this. I thought I already passed this test. Well, the reason why you're still going through it is because there is something about that test that you didn't learn. Yeah, you passed this, but you missed these two. And in order to get to the next level, you have to go back and pass these two. Your score wasn't high enough. So it's important, it's very important that in our quest to grow, that we have the ability to listen. And we have the ability to be accountable for the things that we're hearing, or for our part in something, or that we have the ability to comprehend what's being said, regardless of who's saying it and how they're saying it. We have done the work so much on ourselves that we can hear truth no matter where it comes from. That's where real growth and elevation happens. So I want to challenge you, as I am challenging myself, to start being more silent in moments of conflict and misunderstandings, even in disrespect. Start silence yourself. It doesn't matter if they feel like they won because they said all of this stuff to you and they had an audience and, you know, and yeah, I had to tell her this or I had to tell him that. It doesn't matter. Because your goal isn't to win, your goal is to grow. So you're not trying to win an argument, because for you, in your moment of growth, this isn't an argument. You're trying to learn. Even if what they're saying isn't true, right? When you find peace within yourself, you no longer need to, or even feel the need to, explain why it isn't true. Because most of the time, when people come to you with a situation and it's more on the lines of accusing you instead of asking you, they've already believed what's in their head anyway. So what's the point? They've already believed whatever someone has told them. So why are you explaining yourself? Allow them to sit with whatever feelings they've concocted in themselves based on a lie or based on something somebody else said. And you keep growing. You keep maneuvering around all the toxicity that's being presented to you. And you keep receiving the truth where you hear it, when you hear it. And you keep going. People are going to try you. That's just what this life is. There are always going to be people to try you. And the reason for that, they're actually necessary, because there's a balance in everything we do in life. It has to be a balance. Someone close to me once said, there can't be positive without negative, right? And so when I started to think about that, I was like, you know what, that's right. Because if everything was positive, if everything was, you would never feel the need to grow above anything, because everything is the same. What's the point of growing above if everything is the same? But being that we live in a world where there's a lot of evil, there's a lot of discord, there's a lot of disrespect, there's a lot of fighting, arguing, and people, this is something I noticed recently, not maybe within the past few years. People are so used to being disrespected and disrespectful that when you stop a person and say, hey, I don't like being spoke to like that. or I can't allow you to treat me like that. I'm going to have to remove myself. And you actually do it, they don't understand that. They're like, oh, well, you shouldn't be so sensitive. It's not being sensitive. It's saying that this disrespect is not something I'm used to or something I'm going to continue to tolerate. But we live in a negative world. We live in a world where everything is disrespectful. Everybody's got to get smart with you or sarcastic or whatever it is. And they want you to accept it of that just being who they are. But every time you accept that behavior, you're allowing them to continue it with you. But when you start, you don't have to argue. When you start removing yourself from people, when you start cutting off communication, when you start not answering the phone, blocking people, whatever you need to do to preserve the peace so that you can continue to elevate, when you start doing that without explanation, they start questioning themselves. I wonder why she's short with me or he's short with me. I wonder why he doesn't talk to me like he used to, or she doesn't answer my phone calls. When people start to see you grow, they'll challenge it. They'll hate on you. They'll challenge it. They'll wait for you to slip up so that they can focus solely on that slip up instead of that overall growth that you're doing. But your job within your elevation process is to not focus on what everybody else is doing. Your job is to continue to grow. And if a stumbling block comes right here and you're right here and you got to get over this, or it's too big for you to just jump over, go around it. You don't have to. There's a space right here, a big old space. You don't have to keep bumping into this. You can go around. And it doesn't matter how it makes you look. You're not here for how it makes you look. You're here to grow. And if I were you, I'm not letting anybody stop my progression. I'm not letting anybody stop me from being and doing everything that I need to so that I can operate on my higher self. I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. I don't have the tolerance level to deal with a bunch of negativity in my life, to deal with a bunch of gossip, a bunch of hate, a bunch of naysayers, or people who tell me I'm not going to achieve a goal, or I'm not going to do this, or everything they have to say to me is negative. I don't have the energy anymore to deal with that. So what I have begun to do is I have begun to create a safe space for me to sit in. And that's my mind, that's my meditation, that's my prayers in the morning, my prayers throughout the day, my prayers at night. I'll be at work and people think, oh, what's wrong with Stacy? Like, she's not talking. And half the time I'm praying. Or I'm talking to Spirit. Guide me to where you want me to go. Guide me to what you want me to say. What do you want me to do next? I am not thinking about those people around me. I am not thinking about who thinks I'm mad or why my silence is bothering you. That's your problem. Why should anybody's silence bother anybody else if you know that you haven't done anything to that person? Right? I love my alone time that I get to spend within myself to dig deeper, to learn more, to grow, to heal. That's the important part. When you start to heal you, heal you. Not just, okay, just put these little baby band-aids on something and hope that all that stuff that's underneath it doesn't seep out. when you really, really dig deep, find those triggers, find those things that bother you, those things that hurt you, those things that are still hurting you to this day, and you work on those things and you work on healing yourself, you won't react so quick to certain things that people say or do, or how people present stuff to you. You won't react so quick in the negative way I'm referring to. I'm not saying you don't react where you say, hey, don't speak to me like that. Or I don't appreciate your tone. You're within your right to set your boundaries for how you're going to be treated and how you're going to be spoke to. But I'm referring to, you don't react in terms of let me match energies. Or it's go time, whatever you want to do. You don't react like that anymore because you've elevated past that type of lower level thinking, that lower level behavior that keeps you stuck and keeps you beneath everything that you're trying to reach for. So what I want us to do is I want us to focus on our silence. I want us to focus on our prayers. I want us to focus on those things that we want to elevate in, and those characteristics that we want to build that create a good core nature and good moral fiber. And I promise you, I'll do it with you. God bless.